Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and have had a good day. So welcome to the iPro training session number 2, Setup and Configuration Advanced. For those of you that weren't here yesterday, we covered through our users and user profiles. We then covered through the company settings, which is how you determine when your owners are going to be paid and when your guests must pay their deposit and how much deposit it should be and when the balance is due. We then went through the payment options within iPro and the payment providers that we work through. And finally, we finished off with the settings, which was nature of stay, sources, and contact types, etc. So that was our basic foundations of the setup. And today we're going to go into the more advanced configurations. So before I get started, if you can all look at your Ring Central settings, just make sure you know where the chat system is. If you can please send us a message on the chat system, just so I know that you're able to communicate with us. You'll also see that we have a Q&A section. If you click onto the Q&A section, you can actually list a question now so that we can, if there's something that you want to go through, we will go through Q&A at the end of the session. But if you've got some questions that you want us to make sure that we cover now, please add it in there just so that you're familiar with it. Okay, so we're getting messages coming through, so it looks like everyone's connected. You can hear me fine, you can see me fine. Your microphones are all muted, so don't panic about that. And also your cameras are off, so we can't see you on the screen either. So you are fine from that perspective. So thank you everyone for coming online. Just a couple of rules to go through. If you do want to ask a question as we're going through, you put it into the Q&A. We will then respond. If you want to discuss it, you can request to have your mic turned on, and then we can have an open conversation. I want to make the training quite interactive, and the key is that you implement these changes straight away within your system, whether or not you do it today or tomorrow, and you can put a support ticket through, and Jonathan will go through it with you as well if you need any sort of specific help, because it might not be, you might not be able to do what we've gone through on the training. So just reach out to us if you do have any problems. But if you want to question while I'm going through it, we'll try and get it implemented in real time. So Sam, Jonathan will come back to that one. Then the other thing just to be aware of, if you weren't on yesterday's training session, as I've said, we have individual installations of iPro. So that means that we're constantly developing and there's constantly new features being added, but you don't necessarily have those new features immediately. We go through like a beta release, then we go through an actual release, and you don't always upgrade to the latest release. So sometimes you are going to be behind. If you don't have a feature that I go through today, you can put a request through via the support desk, and we will get you scheduled for an upgrade. Most of the features will be included within your subscription, but please be aware that sometimes those features require an upgrade of the license or an activation fee, but we'll let you know once you reach out. So if it is of interest, do get in contact, and then we can go from there to get you upgraded to the latest version. So the agenda today is to go through booking tags. I will need to explain booking tags to you. So I'll give you a little bit of an explanation of those when we go through it before I dive into the why, the what's, and the hows. The second thing that we're going to go through today are the holiday extras, the extra fees that you can add to each and every booking based on either automation or based on the client actually wanting to purchase those extras. This is a really good part of the system, and also for your business, it will allow you to have additional streams of income from that one individual booking. The next thing we're going to go through, excuse me, is the owners. How do we assign owners? Or sorry, how do we create owners? How do we update owners? And how do we create assign contacts and then have them added to the properties. And then finally, in preparation for tomorrow's training session of creating a property listing, how do we upload our media so that we can import our images and assign them to the properties? There's a couple of things here. For new clients, where we're doing a data migration for you, we will be importing all of the images from your existing system, and we'll be importing all of your owners, and they will be mapped together. So you won't have to do this for all of your properties, but what you will need to do is, as you add new properties, as you change things within your properties, is have the understanding of how to do that. So just to be aware that we will automatically import that data for you. So if no one has any further questions, without further ado, we shall dive straight into the training session. So the booking tags. Settings, and then booking tags on the left-hand side. And let's bring this into full screen. And you'll see on my demo system, I have a huge host of booking tags. So at the moment, booking tags probably don't mean much to you because it's quite a generic phrase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we utilize booking tags within iPro. So let me just go into here and let's put these side by side. So on the right-hand side within the booking, we have booking tags. And we can see here that this booking has been added with repeat guest, pets, couple, beach retreats, lead time 91 to 180 days, deposit paid, ID collected, agent processed, and pet added. So these are all my tags here, and you can see I've got some green and I've got some red ones. So basically the green ones means that they're going to be automatically added to a booking based on the rules that we've applied. So this booking, when the guest, she was a repeat guest, she's booked with us before, so we automatically tagged it with that. There's two guests going, so we've automatically tagged it as a couple. And if I go into the couple one, you'll see how I've got it set up here. So we've got it when adults equals 2 and not matched to an owner booking. I don't want it to be tagged if it's an owner booking that we've recorded. So we've automatically tagged it as a couple. And then if I look at deposit paid, so we should have another one here, deposit paid. Okay, so there it is. And this one we've set to payment status, and of course deposit or part payment received. We then tag it as deposit paid. So what's the point of putting these tags in? There's a number of reasons. Most of them come through to the reports, and then the second reason is it comes through on your automated workflows. So if we're tagging bookings with statuses and types of bookings and categories, we can then actually look at within a report section how well we're performing within that particular area. And I'm going to explain this pet added one. So I'm going to come into my reports here, and I'm going to go to charts, and I'm going to look at my monthly commission. We'll look at the bar chart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to pets at the moment, which will be all bookings where we've had pets included. So when there's been a pets, our commission for April, if we focus on April, we've got £6,000. If I remove that, it goes up to 11,931. So nearly half of our bookings in April, they brought a pet with them. So, you know, if I was looking at where I'm spending my marketing pounds, you know, pet friendly is a huge thing for us. Have we got a pet friendly landing page on our website? Have we got a blog about the pets? Do we make a focus on which properties allow pets? What do they get for their pets, for example? So it can really determine where we spend either our marketing pounds, but also what we recommend that people put in their properties. The other thing I wanted to check, so feedback we had was that a lot of bookings do vary as they get closer to the date. So you have the booking date and you have the check-in date, and that can sometimes be over 12 months in between. So they might book without the pet, which is what I did here, but then I added the pet at a later date. So I want to see how much our revenue changes for people that say they're not bringing a pet, but then they do actually bring a pet afterwards. So if I do pets added, and pets, oh, sorry, it's not pets added, it's pet added rather than I've doubled it up. You'll see that we've then got, if I get rid of pets, we only have May, where we actually had a booking where the pet was added at a later date. So out of all those bookings that were in there, and I can do this with all of my reports, I just happen to pick this particular one. If I go to financials, and if I look at my booking detail report, and filter that by this year, I've actually done it for the whole, database at the moment. So if I put pet added rather than pets added, you'll see I've got one booking, and if I put pets in, the bookings numbers goes from 1 up to 52 bookings. And if I click sales summary, that will give me a nice brief overview there as well. So if I get rid of that, we know that one of those bookings out of the 52, we added the pet after they had booked. So sometime between the date that they booked and the date that they checked in, they added the pet. We could track that as well if we wanted to, if it made any difference, but at the moment I've just done it as the pet was added at a later date. So before I go on from the reporting side, because as I say, we're not going to be training on the reports today, I just want to make sure that people understand how the tags work from a reporting element. You'll see that we can also exclude. What that means is we can exclude bookings in our performance for different types of bookings, whether it be couples, whether it be short breaks, long breaks, midweek breaks, weekend breaks, etc. You can look at group sizes as well. So in terms of creating booking tags, yes, for those people that have been upgraded recently, so you don't have booking tags on your system, I am building a default list, like we've done for emails, where we have a default set of emails that you can use. I am building a default set of booking tag rules that we can add to your system. So if you put a support ticket in, and we'll get those added to your databases, and then you will have a default list, because when I go into my tags now, I do have quite a nice list of tags that you can utilize immediately, and also when you run it on your system, we'll go back 3 years worth of bookings and automatically tag them with the correct thing. So for the new clients that are signing up with us, when we import all of your booking data, we'll actually be able to go and you'll be able to utilize this feature immediately, but not just for future bookings, for all your historical bookings going back 3 years, which means that you can say, well, okay, last year we did £100,000 worth of bookings where they brought a dog, and this year we're doing £200,000 or £300,000, whatever it may be. Yeah, exactly. So repeat guest works off the email address. If we recognize it as an existing contact, then we will automatically tag it as a repeat guest. So the other reason that we use tags is for our automated workflows. And we go into lots of detail on this when we do the guest experience. So we've got 3 training sessions on guest experience for the lead management. How do you do all your communications to your leads? How do you do all your communications to your bookings? And then we go through how do we automate those communications based on types of bookings, events of bookings, dates of bookings, duration of bookings, etc. So if I come into my online booking settings, alerts and reminders, if I click on my guest notification, so 3 days before check-in. Now, for example, if I wanted to create a new one of this, I would simply create the new alert. And then at the bottom here, I've got the ability to create a tag. So if I would say pets, I would send this alert 3 days before specifically to all bookings where they have included a pet. So the email might be different. It might be that, we hope you have a lovely time. Please remember to clean up this, to bring this, we have blankets available to put on the sofas for the dogs, etc. Whatever it may be, whatever your rules are, you can make that email very specific to them. If you know they're celebrating a party, a birthday party, for example, on the email, you can have something specific to that. So we talk about automation, and people worry about things being automated and feeling like a robot. Or by utilizing these tags correctly, you can actually make it feel more personable and more specific to their booking, whereas we all know it is automated. So that's where the booking tags again come into their own. We then use booking tags for various events as well within the system. So, for example, if a complaint has been raised, we tag the booking. In this one, have we collected the guest ID? So I've tagged it as guest ID. Collected. Have we had to pay compensation? Have we withheld the security deposit for damages, etc.? So a number of tags will be added so that we can track through and see the status of bookings based on the tags that have been applied. Does everyone understand the value of the tags and how you can utilize them? Does that need to be explained anymore? If anyone can just say now. Good stuff. So everyone seems to be happy. So let's go and have a look at the types of tags that we can add within iPro. Let's go back to my full screen now. Oops, extras is the next bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run through a couple of examples that we've got already set up and how they're configured so that you can get a feel for it. And then we'll add a couple of new ones into the system. So the same buttons as before, we've got edit and delete. So if I click on to edit for family, nice simple one. All I've done here is I've turned on the automation. On the when, I've said children. So we've got a number of default rules here. What's the parameter? So greater than or equal to, because this is a number, so they might put 2 children in, 5 children in, 10 children in. I'm saying as long as there's 1 child added to that booking, we are going to add the family tag. And therefore we can see, how much of our revenue is generated from bookings where they bring children. So that's a nice simple one. You'll see that I've got a pets one as well. So we've got pets. If I click on edit here, so this is where we've got extra name. This time it's equals, and then we've got the phrase pet. So every time an extra is added to the booking, we can tag that extra has been included within that booking. Again, that's perfect for the reports, but it's also perfect for our arrival because we may need to do different preparations. The same with the email communications as well. The repeat guest one is a locked in one. So if I click onto that, just when I select repeat guest, is it matched? Yes. And again, what I've done with this one is I've turned off. I don't want to bother tagging the owner booking. So I just simply exclude that one. So short breaks. Again, it's just it's a defined rule. There's no flexibility to it. So it's short break is equal, and then it's matched. Anytime a booking is less than 7 nights, we will automatically tag it as a short break. So within the reports, we do have the ability to do like how many bookings are 0 to 3 nights, how many bookings are 0 to 4 nights, or 4 to 6, 7 nights, 10 nights, 14 nights, etc. But this will allow you to just categorize your number of bookings by short break or week plus bookings. Last minute bookings. Now this is where we do have a variable. So I've put last minute 7 days and I've turned it on, and then I've got my last minute from the drop down. That's correct. So just to answer your question, Sam, if I scroll up to the top here, I've got a button here that says sync booking tags. That will go back through 3 years worth of data and make sure that all of your bookings are tagged correctly. So if we add a new tag today and then click sync booking tags, it will impact all your future bookings, and it will go back 3 years and update all of those so that you have stats on that tag immediately that you can do comparisons against. So coming back to my last minute one. So I've got a 7-day one here, and I'm saying less than or equal to 7 nights before check-in. So how many bookings, and I actually replaced this later on actually with my lead time one. So this is actually an old rule because I've got a better format below. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to delete this one just to show you how easy it is to delete. It may well be left there. So this is a good caveat actually. Because it's linked to bookings already. So if I go to delete this, it will give me a warning. Yeah, so it says at the top here, cannot delete this tag. It's probably being used. So if we are using that tag already, at the moment, we cannot remove it, hence the reason why I've still got it there, but it will no longer be, what I'll do actually is I'll just turn this one off so it's no longer going to be used anymore. And what I've got below is I have my lead time, and I've just done it as categories, which allows me to work out when I'm looking at my occupancy, how many bookings for, let's say November, which is always a good month, is normally more last minute stuff, whereas August, you'll find that things are booking in these two groups here for August. But when we get to November, we're probably looking at these two groups. So if you see gaps in your calendar, you'll know, well, actually, that's fine, because as we get closer, that particular month, 70% of our bookings or more are within 30 days. So you know that it's going to be, all of your marketing focuses on November in October, because that's when you fill November. Group booking. Again, you've got plenty of flexibility here. So I've just put -6. Any bookings where there's 6 or more people, I want to tag it as a group booking. But I could also do something like this. If I wanted to do group sizes, not that I probably wouldn't want to do, but you never know. So if I did 6 to 10 and did an add rule and said group booking and did less than or equal to 10, that's how you would tag a specific group size. And then I could do another tag, which is group size 11 plus, for example. So it's very flexible in terms of the parameters so that you can work between two areas. So let's go and create a new tag. So I'm going to click add tag. So I'm going to just call it new tag. I turn the automation on. Click add rule. And then let's look at some of the other options that we've got here. So these ones at the bottom, we have quite a lot of flexibility, and I've got some of these already set up. So I'm going to show you these ones. Check-in and check-out status. This will allow us to, this one is the only one that we have that will only work in future. So check-in and check-out status. This is an automated check-in system. Basically, as soon as a holiday date starts, it will automatically tag the booking as checked in. And then once the booking has completed the day after, it will flag it as checked out as well. You can check them in and check them out yourselves. There's a feature within the booking itself, but otherwise it will just automatically do it based on the dates. So booking updated, let's do occupancy changed. I'll actually create this one. So we'll do occupancy has changed. Oops. So what this is saying is just tracking when the booking has been updated. So it might be that there's 4 people that are there when the booking is first taken, but during the period, again, from order date to check-in date, they've added 2 extra people to the booking. We will just automatically tag it that the occupancy has changed. The reason for doing this, again, I'm coming back to profitability of your agency and understanding the extra cost that can be involved in bookings. You get some guests who are absolutely perfect. They book, they pay, they never ask any questions. They go on holiday, have a fantastic time, and give you a great 5-star review. Then you have the other guest who literally is trying to change things all the time. Oh, actually, there's 5 of us coming now. Oh, no, there might be, but my sister might come as well, so it might be 6 of us. And then they keep chopping and changing because you need to know the exact number when they get there. So if you had that tag added, and we then suddenly add 4 people and save it, it will automatically then track how many times the occupancy has been changed. So you can actually identify how many times does it actually happen? Is it something to worry about? Is it kind of or is it happening so frequently that we need to start looking at an amendment fee? And I know a number of my clients that are using amendment fees because, it's extra admin that you haven't catered for. The first time you process the booking is one set of admin. Every time they then make a change, that is chipping away at the commission that you've earned on that particular booking. So, you can take sometimes you win, sometimes you lose slant on it. But if it's happening very, very frequently, then you want to be able to put some stats together. You want to be able to look at it, and then you want to be able to make an informed decision. So that's why we have the booking updated status, so that you can track how frequently people are changing their booking. So booking updated, and we've got options where dates are extended. So have the dates been extended? You can indeed. You beat me to it, Sam. So dates extended. Have they extended the dates after they booked? Dates changed would work from the dates have been reduced, or the dates have actually been physically changed. So they were going to go this week, but now they're going the week after, for example. It may be that you've transferred the dates to next year in the kind of current situation. So you've got that. You have the ability to monitor whether or not an extra has been added or amended, or the quantity has changed or removed after the booking date. So it's all about, they agree things at the booking date. What have they changed afterwards? And we also did the same with, we specialized on pets because we find that people say, well, it's maybe 2 dogs come in, then they reduce, or there's no dogs come in, but there's always a cost involved, and therefore it's potentially a cost to the owner as well. So we want to flag that again, so that it's from a finance perspective, it's easy to identify those bookings, so any indiscrepancies can be picked up quickly before running the financial statements. Source of booking. So this tracks through where the booking came from. So not just the source where the guest found you from. This is actually, how did the booking get into iPro? Was it from the website? Was it agent process, so it was over the phone, or it is an email? We can also have channel manager on here as well. So you've got the 3, and it's also possible to have a joint, which is basically the client was speaking to the agent did all the work, sent the quote out, and when they went to book, they just clicked on the link from the Book Now link, and then they processed the booking on the website in their own time that evening, rather than actually doing it over the phone and the agent have to populate in all the details. So that's quite a nice feature to be able to track, how well is it, what percentage of your bookings are coming through the website directly without any interaction with a physical person, compared to the ones that are actually picking up the phone and speaking to people first of all. Payment method is an isolated feature at the moment. This is only going to be applicable to you if you use SagePay. And what this does, it allows us to trigger certain alerts for clients that you've set up as a automated balance payment. So if you have that feature turned on with SagePay, what will happen is you can then set up an alert that says, please note we are going to take your payment on the 6th of May. and this is the last 4 digits of the card, or whatever you put in the actual email, we would then automate that balance payment against that particular booking. So that's a unique feature there. We've talked about length of stay with book nights. The other thing you can do is link a booking to an attribute. So for example, what features does a property have? How does that impact not only our revenue, but our occupancy, the number of bookings that we process? Does it vary from location to location? So all of these are the attributes, and we go through the attributes tomorrow. How you can customize these attributes to your business, to your location, to your agency. But by actually doing it on a fixed attribute, it means that we can, as I said, we can do our stats against those particular things. So for example, if I selected cottage and then I compared that to my apartments, how much revenue do I generate from cottages compared to apartments? So when if it's, cottages are 95% of my revenue, an apartment tries to sign up with us, I can actually think, well, you know what, we don't really specialize in that area. So actually, while it's a beautiful apartment, we're going to phase out apartments from our site, and we're just going to focus on the cottages. So that's kind of how you would use that data. If someone was saying, why do I want a hot tub in my property? It's a lot of cleaning, it's going to be extra cost, etc. We can say to our owners, well, look, these are all our non-hot tub properties. As you can see, we average 50% occupancy. However, with these properties that we do have hot tubs, we actually average 80% in our occupancy. And you can see on average, we're £10,000 to £20,000 additional revenue each and every year. So while there's extra costs, the profit that you will make will actually massively outweigh these upfront costs that we're asking you to do. So it gives you not just that, a hot tub will be nice. You can go back with actual financial data that can be give them the cost analysis of why they should put that hot tub in the property. Any questions at all? Reference booking tags. I don't want to go through each of them because from my perspective, correct me if I'm wrong, but the process is the same, whatever the tag. And they should be quite self-explanatory to what they're actually doing. So weekend break will be if it goes from Friday to Monday. Midweek break will be Monday to Friday or Monday to Thursday. Short breaks are anything less than 7 nights. Group bookings, you actually configure yourselves. Payment status, we have it, the text written out here so you know what is actually happening. One of the things that we have with the payment status actually, if they don't pay, it comes in as a provisional booking. If the booking is processed with the deposit paid, we can actually tag it with this one. If they pay the whole amount immediately, we can tag it with this one. If they pay the whole amount on the security deposit, we can tag it with this one. Whereas if they pay in installments, you would actually end up with the provisional booking, then the deposit one, and then the full payment one. So you'd actually end up with 3 tags on that booking. Whereas if they paid everything in one go, you may just get 1 tag. So it's quite good to see, again, a trust thing, consumer confidence. Are they paying, if they have the opportunity to pay everything in one go, but actually they are applicable to just pay a deposit, do they feel confident enough to pay the whole amount to save being reminded in the future? Okay. It's going to give you 5 minutes maybe 60 seconds, I should say, just to have a quick play with those booking tags. We're not going to check up on your work, but just have a quick play now. Then fire any questions in, and then I will go through those. But if there's no questions, we shall move on to the extras, which is going to be our additional revenue streams that you hopefully can start taking advantage of. Okay. So everyone is happy with the with how easy it is to create your booking tags, and more importantly, the reasons for using the booking tags. So, as I say, if you want to probably easier rather than just putting tickets in, if you do want to have some default booking rules, booking tags added to your system, put it into the chat message now. Jonathan will collate that together, and we'll set that as one task to get your databases updated with those tags in your system. Okay, so if you add that into the chat message. Okay, so that question got some responses, so I know you're all listening, so that's good news. So let's move on to the extras. So extras has been moved now to the left-hand side, settings, and then extras. And what I've done here is I've added in a number of groups onto my system. So let's move this out of the way. So what we've got here is I've put children in, general, welcome hampers, pets, parking, bedroom configuration, and services. And I can add a group simply by clicking on add group, and let's just do a new group. And I'm going to go and add a new extra, and then I can just simply select the group from the drop down. So I'm going to do my new extra. Channel mapping. One of the questions yesterday was about these extras linking through to the channels. So yes, they do link through to Rentals United, and you just simply map the extra to the channel, because you may use a different name to what they use, or you may have two extras that need to map to one type within Rentals United, so they'll end up going through as two separate extras. Pet attribute. I will come back to this one, so I'm going to skip that field for now. Anyone who allows pets, and in fact, from what I'm seeing, and we always used to see it as a UK thing, but this year, domestic travel and everything, I think pets should be with all of our clients now, wherever you're based. Bringing people's pets with them, I think, is becoming more and more popular worldwide now. So, as I say, I will come back to that one. So the next question, who's the extra payable to? And we have three types. So we have payable to agency. So that means that you are going to collect all of the revenue for that particular extra. So therefore, it potentially, depending on the type of extra, it may well be taxable as an income. If it's an insurance, then it won't be taxable, but it's an income to your business. Payable to owner means that we have to pay the owner, and therefore we're potentially going to make a commission on that extra. You don't have to make a commission. If there's no commission, there's no VAT or no tax from international clients, but it means that we have to pay the owner some money for that particular service or item. And the final one is payable to supplier. So again, it means that we're going to potentially make a commission, but we are not paying the owner. We don't track who you have to pay. We just know that if you've charged the guest £20 and you need to pay your supplier £15, you've made £5, and you would pay VAT on that £5. Okay, so the next bit, is it mandatory? So what I'm going to do, well, I'll come back to one of the existing ones actually. So I'll just turn this one on. So we've got yes, and you'll notice that this extra field appeared. So if I turn this on to yes, in list price suddenly appears. Now, I touched on this yesterday, and we were looking at how you can have these card fees was the one that came up actually. How can we include card fees? So maybe I'll do this as card fees. It's going to be payable to the agency. I suppose we could actually say it's payable to the supplier, because we don't want to pay tax on it. It's not going to be taxable. It's mandatory. It's in list price, yes. Payable on order, yes. We're going to add it into the order price. So what that means is whatever the amount is going to be 100% compulsory to the guest. If we're going to charge a percentage, which I've got here, so if I put this in maximum quantity as 1 and I put it in as 2%, for example, if the price is £1,000, it will be a £20 fee that will be added. We won't show it as 1,000 plus £20. We'll show it as £1,020, and we will then calculate the deposit on the £1,020. So in-list price is really important because it means that we don't show the breakdown to the guest. That's all that does. It says this is inclusive within the display price that I have presented you with. So in-list price, and then payable on order. This is where we calculate that the payment has to be paid with the deposit. If you turn that off, it won't actually be paid until the balance is paid. Visible or non-visible? Yeah, charging for card fees is illegal. If you're charging, the whole thing that's illegal is presenting someone with a price and then actually adding, when they go to book, the price going up because you've added all these extra things on as a compulsory extra. Because we're doing it in list price, it's your price. We know in the background that we're going to allocate that 2% to pay our card fees off, but actually we're building it into the display price. I only brought this up as an example because it was mentioned yesterday and people want to actually see how they can allocate their funds to cover those 2% fees without it affecting their calculation to the owner. So that was the really important bit here. They want to make, I don't know, let's say 20% commission per booking, and they don't want to go down to 18%. So what we do is we have the agreed price with the owner, we have our 20% commission, but this price that we show to the guest will be including a slight markup of 2% in this example to cover the card fees. But as far as the guest is concerned, that is the cost of the holiday. So we haven't added it as an add-on later on. The other thing you'll see in some of my examples, actually, how I use this for different services. So I will go through some examples. No, it wouldn't show on the rental rate section at all. Again, with the rental rate section, there is an argument now that you remove the rental rate section from your website because of these extra revenues. However, the other thing is, if it is mandatory, and if it's in the list price, the rates that you show on the website will include the extras for that that we've done as an in-list price extra. So they will be included on the website. But we will just need to, depending on what pricing structure you're using, just double check that. So as I say, the more functionality you use here, you probably are moving towards removing the rates and then just displaying the correct prices when they actually put their dates in and put their guest numbers in and so forth. So the next thing we have, as we've gone through, is it visible, taxable? Do you have to pay tax on any income for that extra? So you just decide if that's a yes or a no. I know for a fact that anything to do with insurances would be a no, but anything to do with a service would be a yes. So that's kind of your rule there. Maximum quantity. How many of these are they allowed to add to their booking? If you put one and you're using our websites, that means that on the front end, we'll use a checkbox rather than a drop-down list. Anything above one, and we'll use a drop-down list. If you're using our API, it's all down onto what the web developer does your side. The next bit we have is how the price is calculated for this extra. So with the extras, where we are just finalizing right now is the pricing will go through to, the pricing of the extras will go through to the channels, but you're correct in saying that these, the in-list price and the payable on order and so forth will be slightly different to how it behaves on the channels. So you just need to have a look. So those on the channels, it will be itemized. Yes, you do have compulsory ones. I would need to just double check actually on the compulsory if they do display or if they're just included within the list price. So going back to the price calculated, we have amount per stay is a fixed fee. So it doesn't matter if you stay 1 day or 10 days or 100 days, the price is going to be a fixed price. So if we said £20 and we put £15 in here, we will then have, so with supplier, actually, I just need to show you something actually before I move on from here. So because I've got this payable to supplier, I have price and I have net price, because we don't know what commissions we would be working on. If I go payable to owner, you'll see that I have used commission percentage. So you can now just turn that on and it will automatically use the default rate for that particular property. So if you're working on 20%, the price is £20, we're actually going to make £4 on that particular item because it's going to be based on the commission percentage. If I turn that off, I can actually still write in a net price. So the owner might say to me, well, actually, we only want £10, but we think that's quite low. So we could put our own price in to sell that service at, and we'll put it in at 35. So we're going to make a much higher commission on those individual items than we would on the actual accommodation. So that's just something you can do on a case-by-case basis, depending on what the price is to you. So that's the amount per stay. And let's just leave the commission on. If I do amount per week custom, I can now create a custom price based on the length of stay. So for example, if there's a quantity of 1, you can also change the price if they order more. So you could have £50 for the first one that they order, but the second one that they order, the price drops down to 25. So let's just do quantity of 1 here. Actually, I'll put maximum quantity 2. And we will say that we're not going to have it, it's £50 for any booking from the length 1 night through to 7 nights. That's my fixed price. If they stay for 8 nights or 9 nights, I'm not going to charge them any more. I could actually do something like £25 if they stay for 10 nights. So an extra £25 if they stay for 10 nights. And I could actually continue that on. So if they stay for longer than 7 nights, they're going to have to pay an extra £25 for every week that they stay over that 7. If I do a second quantity, I could actually bring the price down to 35. So if they order 2, the price drops down to 35 for that second item. The first one will be at £50 and the second one will be at £35. So hopefully that all makes sense. So the next one we have is the amount per week and pro rata. So this was our standard pricing beforehand. And the way this would work is it will simply take the price that you've quoted here of 35. If they stay for 2 weeks, the price is £70. If they stay for, let me change it to £70. If the price is £70 and we stay for 3 days, the price is going to be £30. And there's no minimum cost. It will literally just pro rata, so it will be based on the minimum stay that you use to the minimum price that you would receive for this particular extra. Amount per person. So if we do a booking that has 1 person on, it would be £70. If we do a booking with 2 people on, it would be £140. 3 people, 210, and so on and so forth. And we can also do amount per person and week. So for every week they stay, they will pay the same fee again and again and again. So if we've got, let's bring it down to £50, we've got 3 people, it'll be £150. They stay for 2 weeks, it'll be £300. Again, You've always got the ability to do a separate price for each level of quantity, so that you can scale the prices up or down based on how many they're buying. And the other option you've got here is the ability to allocate when these extras are available. So we have some clients that do a winter fuel charge, so they are compulsory, but it's only for bookings between set dates. We also have clients that enforce pool heating, they enforce air conditioning charges, for example, but again, only for certain seasons throughout the year. So it gets automatically added to the booking. They write it in the T's and C's, so it's perfectly clear that due to the environment and due to the weather and for the enjoyment of your stay, these extra costs are compulsory because you will need those services. So you can literally control it based on a date, and you can update that each and every season. Extra description. This is a detailed description which will come through on your emails. It will come through on the booking page, and it will come through on the guest portal as well. So whatever you put in here is visible to the guest. Now, this section here, I'm actually only going to go through a little bit. I'm not going to really explain this very much at all, actually. This is an advanced feature, and it is only applicable if you want to automate extras based on how long someone is staying within the booking. So if they stay 14 nights, for example, they get this extra. If they stayed for 7 nights, they wouldn't get the extra. That's what this section does here. So this could be a mid-stay clean. This could be a changeover clean, or a weekly clean, for example. It could be a guest check-in, whatever you want to call it. You could actually control this based on the length of the booking. This one is even more advanced, where it can actually say, based on when the booking is made and the start date of the booking, I want to add this extra. And what we did this for was the ability to automatically order cream teas for bookings that arrive on the agreed changeover day. So if a property's got an agreed changeover day of Friday, and the booking is received at least 1 week before the Friday that they're checking in, they will get an automatic cream tea welcome pack added to their booking, and that order will go straight through to the supplier, and then that supplier will deliver the order to the property, so that when the guests arrive, they have a surprise welcome pack that they didn't ask for in their property waiting for them. So the list, what you can do with those two features, and these two as well, really is endless. So we do have some mini guides available on these, but if you have something that you think, oh, actually that sparked a thought and I could use it for that, by all means drop a ticket into the support desk, and we will do a little walkthrough and show you how you can utilize these features in that real life scenario. So I haven't got to any of that yet, Lorraine. I'm just looking at the extras that are available to you. But yes, 100%, all of these extras can be customized to each individual property. So you can have global extras that are impacted by every property, or available on every property, I should say. But then you can have property-specific extras. You can also have property-specific prices and so forth. So you can do everything at a property level. The final thing we've got here is the ability to add an image, which means that we can actually do some visuals on the guest portal, and we can do some visuals on the checkout pages and payment pages. So that's the walkthrough of how to of what the functionality you've got on the extras. What I'm now going to do is just look at a couple of scenarios. And we're going to jump into, actually I'm going to start with the bedroom configuration, because this is not a price one, but this is a yes/no option, and we get asked it a lot. How can we tell the housekeepers that we want the beds made up as a double or as a single? So if I click onto this one now, so I've got bedroom configuration as the group. This is the master bedroom. There's no payment. Maximum quantity is 1, so it's a check. It's a checkbox is what I'm trying to say. Is it visible to the guest? Yes, it is. And then in the description, I've put a question. or a statement, please set up the master bedroom with twin beds, and it will be a yes or no, and they will tick it as a yes, and then that will go through to the housekeeper, and we will know that for booking 1, 2, 3, 4, the master bedroom needs the bed set up as a twin. If they leave it as it is and say no, then it will be set up in its default configuration, which is a double bed or a king size bed. So this is quite a nice way of doing it. And you can, going back to your question, Lorraine, is how do you actually allocate these to a property? If you've got a 5-bedroom property, you would have bedroom configuration set up for the 5. But if there was only 2 of those bedrooms that had the zip and link beds, they're called, then you would only allocate those 2 bedrooms to the option, so that they would only request it on those 2 bedrooms, because if they request it on the other bedrooms and they haven't got that option, you're going to look a bit stupid when they request twin beds and they can't have twin beds. So I've only gone to 3 bedrooms here, but you could easily have 5 bedrooms, 6 bedrooms, and then you just simply allocate them accordingly to each property. You'll also notice I've got things like beach parking permits as well. So you can do lots of different extras. I mean, the list is endless here. So what I'm going to look at now is a couple of these more detailed ones that I've set up. So I will show you how to allocate them to a property shortly. So services, concierge service fee. So some people are now charging for managing their bookings. So not just managing the bookings, but creating the guest experience. So can we book hotels? Can we book taxis, etc.? Can we book restaurants? Oh, sorry, did I say hotels? I meant restaurants. Can we book restaurants? Can we book activities? And therefore they build in a fee to cover that particular service. So this is a direct income to your agency. So I've got payable to agency, it's mandatory, it's in the list price, it's payable on order, so we collect the £100 immediately. It's not visible, so therefore the guest just sees the display price, and then when it comes in, we take the £100 off, and then we calculate the commission from the net price that's remaining. Because it's a income to our agency, it is taxable. So therefore that £100, we're going to pay 20% VAT on. And the way that I've got it set up here, it means that any booking from 1 to 7 nights is going to cost the guest £100. So you could do, for example, that a short break is only £50. So I could do, if I put £50 in here, it means that if you stay for 3 nights, or if you stay for 1 night, 2 nights, or 3 nights, you only pay £50 for the concierge fee. However, if you stay for 4 nights, 5 nights, 6 nights, or 7 nights, you pay £100. If you stay 8 nights, there's no extra money to pay, so you've only paid £100. If you stay for 9 nights, it's still £100. However, as soon as you go into 10 nights or more, we're going to charge you £200 now. So it's 100 plus the 100 here for the length of stay. And then if they stay for 2 weeks, it's £200, 3 weeks, £300, so on and so forth. So the next one we're looking at is the damage waiver. So this is a flat fee. I've set this one up as an example. I haven't made it as a compulsory one, so you may have it as an option. Would you like to add this to your booking? These are the reasons why you would. Other people might want to actually put this as 100% inclusive within their booking. They may want to show it so that people know that they've got that added within their booking and they get the protection. So I'm just going to put a description in now because it wasn't added. So let's say... Okay, so that's my message there. So if I save that, I'll just come back in again actually so we can see it. So I'm just saying that it's £50 per booking. I'm going to make it visible to the guest, but it is compulsory. It is concluded within the deposit payment. It's not taxable because it's a waiver policy. I will have to claim down on that money when I actually when I redeem the income from that money. Like for example, if I say, well, I've made £100,000 this year on my damage waiver policy, and I've had to pay out say £30,000 of damages. That leaves me with my 70,000. I think, well, I need to keep some of that money back for next year. So let's say I'll draw down £30,000 as an income now. Then I'll pay VAT on that income because that's when I'm actually going to draw it down as an income. Until then, it is just it's a buffer. It's a savings pot, which is not classified as an income. So I've set it to £250. What that means is, if you wanted to have a different damage waiver for different levels of properties, you could indeed do that. So if you felt more comfortable doing it as a higher damage waiver on the bigger properties, you have got the flexibility within the system to be able to do that. The next thing we've got is the cancellation protection fee. This is set up very similar. I've put it as not visible, and we can actually use an external party for this as well. So you can either do it as an internal thing that you fund, or you could use an external insurance company. And then we've got our service fee / booking fee. And again, I've just done a flat £50 per stay. This will be included within the booking price. It's going to be payable on order, and it will be added to every single booking. So in theory, with the extras that I've got here, I've got £50 here, £50 for my cancellation protection fee, £50 for my damage waiver, and £100 from my concierge. If the booking is £1,000, I'm actually going to show the guest £1,250, which is my 4 inclusive services added to the list price. So I will quote them £1,250. That's the only price they will see on my system for that book, for that property. So how do we allocate this to a property? So if I go to assign, you have the standard iPro search. So you can say, well, actually, this is only applicable because we've only got someone available in Bude as an example. Okay, I've already got these ones selected. I can then go through and select. Let me just add a different location. I think I've added all of North Cornwall. So I'll go to South Cornwall and let's go to Bodmin. Okay, so I've got one property there. So I just simply select it, click submit, and that will add that particular extra to that particular property. You would do the reverse to untick it. You can also, I will just jump into here so it's clear for everyone, but we'll be going through this in much more detail when we get to the create a property listing. Come into my content and go into my rates. We will have our extras here, and I can simply add any extra to this property from the drop down here. So I can add it in directly on the property level here. Any questions at all? Anyone have any questions on the extras? If you don't assign at the moment, they won't. It's not global. We are just running through an update to this feature at the moment, which will allow you to set a extra as global, and therefore it will automatically add to every single property. So every time you add a new property, the extra will already be assigned to that property. However, if you set a global one, and it's not been added before, you will need to do apply. There'll be a button that says apply to all properties, and you click that and it will allocate the extra to all properties. So when you go to save here, what we're going to do, rather than going into the assign one here, will have a button just here that says assign to all properties. You click that and it will automatically do the work for you. Currently, you have to go into here. We'll do all, and then you would simply tick this button at the top here and then click submit, and that will apply it to all the properties within your portfolio. So if you need to, this, you mean the group titles? That one, I hold my hands up. Little oversight there from the devs and the QA. At the moment, there is no way to delete this. There is for us, and in the next update, there will be the ability here to edit your groups, for example. So at the moment, we can only add a group in the UI. We'll also be able to edit the group name so that you can customize these. Okay, if everyone is happy, again, I just want to, so running through the types of extras, charges for pets. Oh, I just want to show the pets here actually, because I did use the flexible pricing structure here. So we are saying in this example that one dog is £50 per booking. They will be broken down. As long as they have an equivalent within Rentals United, so within the channel. If we've mapped it here, we will actually have, we'll have it itemized within the booking. So if we know a booking has come in, any extras that have been added to that booking, they will be itemized within the booking within iPro. So within the pet section here, we have one dog is £50. Then I have a maximum quantity up to 6. And if it's 2 dogs, it's going to be £25. So the first dog will be £50, the second dog will be £25. If they do 3 dogs, the first dog is going to be 50, the second is going to be 25, and then the third is going to be 25, and so on and so forth. So that's how you can do it here. And we're doing the same thing as we did with the concierge. Any length of stay, you pay the full fee for the dog. If you go 8 or 9 nights, there's no extra to pay. But as soon as you go into 10 nights or more, we're going to charge you for another full dog on top of it. So the price will continue to go up the longer the booking it is. So at the moment we can't order this, but actually that will be a nice adjustment to make on the next release that we're doing on the UI. So we'll look at adding a ordering tool here as well, so you can drag and drop them into a different sort order, so that you can keep everything in a nice order for you. So the one that I just want to show here is the pets before we move on. So pet attribute is the dogs. So in your property level, and we will go through this in more detail tomorrow, but if I click onto attributes, you'll see here that this property, Cozy Cottage, has a dog ticked, and I've got, so how many dogs does this property allow? This is really important from when people do a search, because we can now search on the quantity of dogs. So if someone says I'm bringing 3 dogs, we can bring back all the properties that will allow 3 dogs or more. If I link it to the dog's attribute here, when they put in 2 dogs, I can present an accurate price including the 2 dogs. Whereas before we would have just given the accommodation costs, we can now bring in all of these extra costs as well. So what I'm going to do, just to show that, go to availability search. We'll do North Cornwall, put our dates in. Okay, so we've got 11 properties at the moment, and if I put in 1 dog, okay, so it drops down to 10. If we just take one of these properties now so we can see it change. So we've got 1 dog, the price is 1,700. If I change it down to 0, the price drops down to 1,650. If I now do 2 dogs, the price goes up to 1,725. If I do 3 dogs, the price goes up to it doesn't allow 3 dogs, so that property now disappears. If I take it off, I've got 2 properties left. if I do 4 dogs, I've only got 1 property left and the price has gone up. And if I go to 5 dogs, the price goes up again by £25. And if I go to 6 dogs, the price goes up again by £25. So this one we can allow 6 dogs in, but that's why you link the extra to the pet. So it's a unique feature specifically for pets, but it ties into the availability search here, and it ensures that when you're on the phone or answering an email, you can give an exact price based on the number of pets they've said that are coming through. And we're going to go through this on the lead management, but if I come into an inquiry, we also allocate the pets here. So if you save that they're bringing 3 pets with them on the booking, the price that you send through on all of your quotes will include the price of the 3 pets. So it is important to get a good understanding of that and tying it in correctly, because it will impact what you're quoting your clients. So hopefully that's given you a good understanding of the extras, and you're now in a position where you can start updating your extras. For those of you that have multilingual websites, I have to hold my hands up. This was a massive change to the system, and we did lose the language functionality that we had in place. However, we are already onto that. And on the next release, we will have those back in place so that all of these extras can be translated into your preferred languages. Okay, so if it's so we don't do client accounts, and we don't have accounts within iPro. So one of the questions that I've just received is, if it's payable, if an extra is payable to an agency, how is it reconciled and drawn into the client account? So we recommend 100% that people work on a client account basis. For those of you that don't understand client accounts, what it means is the money comes into an account, which is not where your day-to-day transactions come out of. Then once you've actually claimed the income for a booking, so some of these items, for example, like service fee, damage waiver, concierge fee, protection fee, you would say, oh, well, I'm going to claim those immediately because they're non-refundable extras, and they are separate to the booking, to the enjoyment of your stay. So these are for me to provide a service to you going up to the booking. Therefore, I can draw these down immediately, but my commission, I may not draw down until the checkout date, until the booking has been 100% complete. You have to decide how you're going to manage that. We don't reconcile that data, but what we do have, which again we'll be going through in a lot of detail in the report section, is a report called the Agency Income Report. And based on how you have set things up, we will report your exact income every single month based on what's been added to a booking. So I'll just show you a quick snapshot on it. Probably not going to have huge amounts of data, so I'll do this year. And you'll see we've got my booking fee income, my rental commission income. I've got all of this income from all of these extras, and I've also got all of these incomes here. So let's say, for example, that this was this month, I've got £84,407.41 that I can draw down on. And also, actually, it's 106,000 because I have to pay out of that £22,435 to the taxman, and that will leave me with £84,000 myself. So that's how you can do it. But that's as far as we go. We don't care if that money's all gone into the same bank account that you do your day-to-day banking. Ideally, you keep it separate. We'll just tell you how much commission you've got as your business revenue for that particular month. Okay, so hopefully, as I say, that's given you a really good insight into what you can do with the extras and the extra revenue opportunities that you've got. So moving on, just a couple of quick things now before we go over to the final questions. How do we manage our owners, and how do we manage our contact types? So a couple of things I want to show you. If I go to Tools, and if I go to Import Facility, and if I go to Contacts. So if you have got contacts that you want to import from somewhere, you can use the template provided by clicking Download here. just creates an Excel file. You can then populate that Excel document, and you can then simply select the file, and you can then import it back in. So if I go to my downloads, select the file, and then I just simply click import, and that will import my data. Again, if you've already, if we're doing the data migration, we're going to import all of your contacts, all of your suppliers. But I am aware that some people have different systems, and they have some contacts in one system, and then they have other contacts in another system. If you are using another system, export all the data and import it into iPro, and then you have everything in one place. So yesterday we talked about the different owner types. So let me go ahead and create a new contact. Okay, so let's do Simon Osborne. We'll set him as English. If you set someone as a language, a preferred language, if you have your email set up to be multilingual, when you send an email to them from the system, it will automatically send the correct language version for them. So I'm going to say this is an owner lead. I'll just put in a postcode. So let's just do privatevilla.com. Let's say it came from the search engines, and then we can save that. When you save a contact, or let me do save and exit actually, I can now use the search function to find him. So we've got our details here. How can we contact this person? It's happy to be contacted by email and by phone. We haven't added into our marketing database, so I'm not going to do that. But I'll also have the booking history. I'll also have the activity section here. So I can actually send any email to this person. So potential owner, first contact attempt, here's my template, send it through, and then I get a history record here. So let's say he now comes back to us, and we're going to upgrade it to an opportunity. So I've now saved that as an opportunity. And if I look at my owner opportunities here, I can see that I've only got, sorry, let me remove that just in case we've got some more. I've only got 2 owners that we're currently in conversations with that we're hoping to sign up. I can then go through and I can send him the contract, for example. So I've got a contract sent. And then we'll have the attachment on here, which will be a PDF. I haven't bothered styling this one on my test system. So if I just do contract. And then eventually we can get to the point where we've now got it signed and we can turn this opportunity into an actual owner. And by turning it into an owner, when we go in to add our properties onto the system, they will be available on the drop down here. And again, we'll go through this in much more detail. So if I go to Simon now, I probably need to refresh this actually. We can then add them from the drop down list. If you bypass that step and you're going straight to it's a new owner and it's a new property, we do have the ability to create new, and you can actually put the owner straight into here so that you're not jumping between screens. But if this is real life now and this was a real life scenario, most times the owner is going to contact you from your Let With Us page, for example, or they're going to pick up the phone to you. And what you can then do is, as I say, track it like a normal lead that you would do with an inquiry to book with you. So adding contacts, the same with suppliers. You add a supplier in exactly the same way. So if I add new contact, it may be that they're a company, so you can add them as a company. If they're just an individual, let's just do Pedro Garcia, and I'm going to put him as the gardener, for example. and he's Pedro. I always put them as iPro just so that no one else gets any of these emails that are coming through, and I'll put him through as Pedro Garcia. And I don't have to put an address in if I don't want to. How did I find him? And then based on yesterday's training session, if I've got allowed Gardener to be a supplier and someone I can allocate tasks to, I can now create tasks for Pedro, and he will get an email every time we create a new task, and he can actually update that task and keep us up to date with what's going on. We can also include costs and so forth. And in terms of updating these emails, again, because it's right at the end of our training session, so right at the end of this month, agency admin emails, it may well be called management admin emails, which has been renamed on the latest version. Agency admin emails, you've got invoices, owners, supplier emails, general, potential owners, and you can create your own groups here as well. So if I create a new group, and then I can actually create a new email underneath. And then you can simply put the subject line here and then the content here. And you now have a new email. If I just save both of those, come into Pedro, you'll see now I have my new group and I have my new email here. Again, allocate them to an individual property, all going to be covered tomorrow, but just the same as I did with the owner, we have your owner, then we have our assigned contacts. So that should be fine actually, because I was already away from it. So let me come back to here. If I now do a search for Pedro, we've got Pedro Garcia. So I've added Pedro Garcia to the to my list. So we have two gardeners on this particular property, Pedro and Pedro. Do I want them to get alerts about this booking? So yes, if I do, I can turn that on. If I don't want them to get any alerts, but I just want them to be against the record, then I can untick this and they won't get notified. Again, we'll go into a lot more detail on how those work in our later training sessions. So we've got one last thing to go through, and that is the media section. So when you're uploading properties, you do need to have all of your images uploaded. Again, for data migrations, we're going to bring through whatever images we have within the existing system. I know that some people only have one image in their current booking system, which means that that's all we bring through. But if you've got all your images, we're going to bring that through. If you have to upload your own images, then what I recommend is that we do the following. So you'll see here I've got property images. I'm actually going to create a slight little site tree here. So just going to bounce back a little bit. I'm going to zoom in because it's probably quite small on your screen. So I'm going to go to content. So the first thing I have to point out is that you will not have settings, developer, users, or members, or social, or courier, or availability. You will just have content, media, and iPro. They're the only three things that you'll have. And we're going to click onto media. Media then changes this section here, and you should have a folder called property images. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to do North Cornwall as a folder. Then I'm going to do another folder in there as well. And I'm actually going to show myself up because I can't think of a town. So let me just come into here. So I'm going to go for Bude, click create. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload my properties. So if I'm going to go to create, so let's call this Cottage X. And I can now simply choose my files. If I have the files ready, I can drag them straight in. So got my images here. I'm going to drag those in and then just simply click upload, and they will automatically upload, ready for allocating to our properties tomorrow. So if I do that again, I'm going to do cottage Y now. And if I do it the other way this time, I'll do choose files, and I'll go to export to, and I will now load in all of those images. So the key when you're dealing with the images for properties, it's the only bit that we have to do slightly different to the rest. It's just that all of your images will be stored in an image storage device, so on a separate part of your system. This ensures that we back up all your images, etc. They're protected if anything goes wrong. By having them in a folder structure, it makes it much easier for us to find the images and then allocate them to the property when you're creating the property. So if I just right click again, create, so we'll call this one Cottage Smith. And I'll do my final one. So I'm going to go to downloads, export to, whoops, okay, 2 seconds. Okay, so I've now got my export 3. Okay, this is not an SEO session. However, for those of you that have some extra time and want to plan on getting this all tidied up and SEO optimized, if you import them, we will import them with the name that you've used. So actually, I'm going to do just, sorry, one more. I'll do one more. I'll repeat one of the folders actually, because I want to show you something. So let's do Cottage B. And uploads. So I'm going to select my images again. Now you'll see here I've got the text that I can actually overwrite before I click upload. So you can do cottage offers a stunning family bathroom. That will now be our alt tag. So if I come to here, delete this one and do family dining area, seats 12. And you can actually just go through and edit each of these so that you have a good alt tag. So I won't bother doing them all, but we've got Fantastic Master Suite sets this holiday cottage apart. So I'm getting the word holiday cottage in my alt tag. This is all going to add weight to your SEO. So what you'll see now is these images, I didn't bother renaming the actual physical file. I just renamed the name that I want to import them as, and that's the name that we're going to use within the website or within your API as well. That will go through. These messages here will go through to the channel manager and will be the visible bits of text on top of the images on the websites that allow it. The other thing you can do with these images, if you double click it, it will come up with the full image there. If you click onto the folder, you'll see all of the images that have been uploaded. If I wanted to rename them after they've been uploaded, I click onto it, click onto properties, and I can then simply rename it here. So single bedroom, perfect for the youngest child. The other thing, we can ignore image crops, e-carousel setup. You don't need to do anything with that. The other thing that we tend to use just as a visual thing, people say, oh, why is my images blurred? We can check the size of the image that you've uploaded here. So if these are less than 1980, so that's 1980 by 1080, then they are too small really. If they're less than 600 by 400, they're probably not the best images at all, and they will always look stretched on your website. In terms of moving things around 100%. So let's say see view house should go into my new structure. I just simply right click, select move, and I can then bring that into my new location tree, so it makes it easier. And I'm just going to show you why we do it in folders now. Again, just a little caveat here. We cannot folder them on the import at the moment. It's physically impossible for us to do that, but we automatically allocate the images to all the properties so that you don't have to do any manual work. But if I come into images and floor plan now and go to property images, go to North Cornwall, go to Bude, you can see I can easily select now my images for this particular property, and I can just simply click them, and then I can drag and drop and set the right order from here based on how I want them to display on the website. If I don't have folder structures, I could, and I've got lots of properties, I could have 100 properties here. If I did do that, one of the things that I would use is Command F, which is a little sort of search feature. And if I start typing the name of the property, it will come up and it will help me find it. So there are sort of quick ways that you can get around it. But as I say, if you keep things organized, it makes things far quicker when you're changing. And images, well, you'll all know, images and rates are your worst nightmare because you're constantly updating them. And images you should be updating every year. And as things change within the property, you get new photos done and so forth. So it's an area that you're going to be constantly updating. In terms of the images that you upload, one good point that Jonathan has just made is that you should always upload landscape images. People try and update portrait images, but if we go onto a property page as an example, and we'll show you kind of why that's not feasible, and it's never really feasible on a website to have a portrait image, because you're either going to have a big wide border either side, or it's going to stretch the image and look absolutely ridiculous, or the image is going to be so zoomed in you'll just see a small part of the actual image. So if we go on to this property now, okay, so you can see that that's a landscape style. Also, if I turn that to a one property, I'll get an even more landscape image. It will go full width. Okay, so there we go. There's my full width carousel. If you did that as a portrait image, it's going to completely distort the display of your website. Irrelevant of how your property page is laid out, portrait images will not work. Okay, so for me, if there's no more questions, that's the 4 modules covered. So just to recap, we've gone through booking tags and how they impact your ability to report on your performance, etc., to highlight what needs to be done, how it can impact your guest experience. We've gone through the extras, so how you can have optional extras, free extras, mandatory extras, inclusive extras, how you can cover additional services within your extras. One thing I mentioned in passing actually with the extras, but I realized I didn't do an example of it, are things like amendment fees. If someone changes a booking, actually charging them an amendment fee. So for iPro, you can add extras at any point, whether it be one day before or at the time of booking. You can constantly add an extra, and you can also increase the quantity of the extra at any time. We've then gone through your adding contacts, adding owners, adding suppliers. Also, if you want to batch upload owners, you can do it via a spreadsheet import tool. And then finally, we've gone through the media section. So we now have, if you've followed through everything, you've got everything ready to start creating a property and adding in all of the things that we've covered to that individual property for tomorrow. So while I'm waiting for questions to come in, I'm going to launch the feedback poll. So you can now vote to see how useful today's training session was, how much value you got from today. And please do ask me any questions, and I can then go through those online now. Or if there are no questions, we shall see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow's session, it's going to be quite intense tomorrow. So there's a double session. So I need to do 2 because we've to keep in the 4 weeks. So we're going to do 3 o'clock. We're going to do adding a property, so the basics of adding a property listing, and then part 2 is going to be how do we define rates? How can we do different options with the rates? So short break pricing, etc., length of stay pricing. How can we do discounts? How can we use vouchers? And we'll go through all of the extra bits that you have available to you within the Create Listing session. Both will be recorded again, so you can catch up later on. And I'm going to use a new client, and I'm going to add their property in real time, so it will be hands-on. You can update any of your own properties, etc., at the same time as well. So. If you imported all your images onto the media drive, I'll need to double check, Kat, because I'm not quite sure, because we imported all the images from the migration. So those images have been allocated to the properties. If you've gone and uploaded new images, then those will need to be allocated to the properties and the order set. When you upload them, it doesn't automatically assign to the property. So you will need to go through and reallocate those. Okay, yeah, so that's fine. So any of the ones that you've uploaded, if you just go and reallocate, you've now got the skills on how to do that. Okay, doesn't look like there's any questions today. So all straightforward. As I say, thank you very much for listening, and I wish you all a lovely evening. Take care. Thank you.